Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio. Journey with Grandmother Allayah as she enters her magical world of relics, sacred sites, and ancient crystal skulls. Meet with exciting trailblazer authors and individuals shifting the consciousness of humanity. Send her your questions to be answered on air on her monthly segment, Ask the Oracle. And now your host, Grandmother Allayah, in the sanctuary on the airwaves on OMTimes Radio.
Sanctuary. This is Allayah. At the end of every month, Charlie, the riverman-Bergeron, and I are having discussions, spontaneous discussions, basically on life and what's going on. And in the beginning of the year, we started with the word choices. And we both thought, well, each month is going to be something different, but we just see every month this word choices is so profound, and we keep on going on deeper levels. With the full moon recently, and all the raising of consciousness and the raising of emotions and the raising of different things to be looked at, we both come to realize, well, now we got to look at choices even deeper, because the word choices affects your daily life. And people are becoming consciously aware. So we want you to think about this word. Now, before I bring Charlie on, I wanted to thank him for even being here. He went through pneumonia. So he's here with us. And I don't know, Charlie, we may actually even use you as the example. I'm listening to your cough and stuff, and I'm like, okay, just what's happened to you this past week. So I'm going to hand this off to you, because Charlie has a few words to say before we begin.
Well, it's interesting, as you said that, Allayah, I'm saying, well, I didn't choose this. And then I had to think, but you did choose this, Charlie, on some level. And that's how profound the word choice is that we do not do anything without choosing. And most of us, for most of our lives, don't even give it the real consideration of the power that choice really has in order for us to manifest in our lives the truth of who we are and what we're here to do. And I don't know where that's coming from, but what I wanted to do is to start with a prayer. What I wanted, it's called a prayer to the ancient mother,
Okay.
And the author is unknown. And the reason I wanted to do this was to gather us together in unity. Because lately we see a choice for separation. We see choices being made for the separation of all of us, and for us to be distressed and angry with each other, and to look at each other as other. And this is part of why our choices are important right now. And we could continue, as you say, talking about choices for the rest of the year. So what I'd like everybody to do at this point is I'm just going to bang a bowl here. And what I'd like everybody to do is just to take a deep breath. Fill your body with the air that is such a gift to all of us. And think about Mother in any form, shape, or manner, whether it's your personal mother, a Mother Goddess, Mother Earth, but just the presence of Mother's love. And I'll begin. Ancient Mother of healing and life, please send us the blessings of health and vitality. Open us to the gifts of insight and understanding. Teach us to listen to the rhythms of the body. Teach us to use the power tools of self-healing. Help us to use the truths spoke by our body. Show us the power of living in harmony with our bodies. Open us to the gifts of stillness and rejuvenation of spirit. Heal our hearts and minds of fear, that we may enter true health. O Ancient Mother, may we be honored by your healing gifts.
It's beautiful. And I think so needed, as you had mentioned. You just look around us and the emotions are running so high, strangers reacting badly toward each other, people killing each other, the poisoning. It sounds terrible, by big businesses, not being ethical in
It's true.
practices.
No, it sounds terrible, but it's the truth. Yeah.
And it's like, why? It's like you want to wipe the slate clean. Last week's show, I presented the idea was we all come from the stars and we come to this planet to experience and learn, but we go through the period of amnesia. Well, as we're all evolving this ascension process, we're remembering. And the thing is, we see all the horrible things created, but you have the choice to change. There was a something caught my eye this morning, and I didn't write it down, of course, but to paraphrase it, I think it was a graphic with one of Rumi's sayings. When I was young, I wanted to change the world. Now that I'm older, I want to change me. And that's pretty profound because we can't change other people. We're at a point of changing ourselves, and that's leading into the idea of choices we make.
Yes. The choices we make are about us, and they're always about us as individuals, but also as part of a collective of beings, as you say, who have embodied ourselves here in this planetary dimension. And at 4:11 this morning, I was awakened, and I try not to think about the show too much during the week, because I know that when the show time comes, the words will come. My connection and your connection to each other and to the divine will just automatically, it will roll. It's who we are. But at 4:11 this morning, I was awakened, and usually at that time is usually after I've had what I call an interface with higher powers. We'll put it in that respect, and I wake up. So transmission over. Whatever is done is done. I'm back. But I was given the word choice, and I'm as I say, I don't try to prepare for this, but it was an acronym, again, how they play with me. And it was the word choice spelled out in words. And so I've written it on the page. And it was creating harmonic overtones, inspiring conscious evolution. And I went, what? I says, I got to write this down.
Yeah, of course you remember
Usually
that.
I don't, a lot of times I don't write things down. I says, this is what are we talking about? And so all morning this has been sitting on my little notepad. And they also gave me another set of words for creation, which is interesting. But the choice, and the choice is creation. Every time we make a choice, we're creating something, and that was what it's brought to mind. And I think that's what the angels and my guides and masters are telling me, is that when we make a choice, we are actually embodying the practice of creation as creator beings. And what choice we make has the next two words, harmonic overtones. And that vibration goes out into the world. And the intention will inspire, or it will create chaos. And so what happens is when you think about these things, you look and you say, how many times in our lives have we made choices that have created chaos in our lives? And you and I, a couple of weeks ago, were talking about making choices that were errors, what we consider errors, wrong choices, and how sometimes as humans we find ourselves in a place in our lives and we say, how did I get here? And then you could start looking at that, all the choices we made that were really not in alignment with who we are. And, one after another, we can continually made these choices in error. And I don't mean error in the sense of good or bad, but just they were either in alignment with what was our true purpose and what is best for us, or they were not in alignment. So there's not a judgment here, but it was just amazing to take a look at. And I advise everybody to look in your lives and look at the choices you've made that you could have made better choices about. And not judge yourself, but just look at how you made them, what went on prior to making them, what happened after making them, and to start to become consciously aware of the harmonic overtones of what that choice presented for you in your lives.
So we're going to actually hold that thought because...
Right, I hear the little music faintly in the background, so I'm going to stop there. But
we're going to continue.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Allayah, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Back with Charlie, and even if you listen to the commercials during the break, do you notice how they all have that word consciousness? Consciousness, being aware of whether it's in your love life or, your spiritual life, you being the seeker, looking for information. And it's always, you're not the victim. You're not to be, whatever everybody else says, I'm going to be a follower. Now, I think we're at a point in society and the universe that says, okay, we're consciously aware. Whatever you say, do, means something. And like Charlie said, sometimes the decisions we made, there's no judgment on them. Sometimes we take a sidetrack. Boy, have I taken sidetracks.
Oh, we all have, that's for sure.
But I've learned something. And then, fortunately, somewhere I decide, okay, now I'm going to use you kind of as an example. This great man gives us himself and his time, and he speaks to people wherever, you know, every day. Just if somebody comes and needs his attention, he gives it to us. So when he said,
How do you
got
know I do
sick,
that? Wait a minute, were you watching me?
yeah, my eagle eye, my eagle third eye here.
Uh,
But when he said he didn't choose to be sick, well, somewhere within his spiritual over self said, "Well, Charlie, you're not taking care of yourself, so we're going to make sure your body gets rest and your mind rest. We're going to shut you down for a while. But what better way to do it is pneumonia."
this is true. This is true. It's been and that was a choice that was. I can honestly say that was a choice I made, not in this third dimensional physical level, but I did make it, and I did agree to it on a higher level of myself, unaware at this level of what I was choosing. But it was in my best interest to do this. And that's an amazing process because um, not only, and for some people it may be challenging to understand, but we don't always make our choices on the third dimensional level of our existence. A lot of times we're making choices at other levels of our existence, and it manifests and comes forth in the third dimension in order to bring us closer to who and what we understand on those higher levels of ourselves.
I was going to say, I agree with you. What had come to me last week when I was discussing things is the hardest thing to realize, and we hear it over and over. We're not human having a spiritual experience. No, we're a spirit embodied in a human thought
Having a
form.
human experience, yes.
Yeah, and like Charlie said, sometimes our spirit, whether it be oversoul or source or whatever words you want to use with it, on a different level, is overseeing this and saying, "Well, for your best interest or for your growth, you know, I think we need to do this," and it comes back into the third and pow to the physical body. So even with health, as in Charlie's case, and in other people who are experiencing health challenges, this is a choice in a way your deeper soul is making for you so that you can experience and maybe release different things. Because I know I've talked to Charlie about that, and maybe he can go a little further how being sick has made him aware of many different things, not just, the physical suppression of health.
Well,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
it's I think what we learn, um, and we have actually asked for um, during this time of transitioning, where some call it the ascension to the fifth dimension or the planetary ascension, some call it conscious evolution, some call it expansion into our multidimensional self. Whatever labels we put on that, uh, it's expressing the fact that we are changing and we're evolving. Okay, and many of us are going to have physical symptoms and issues that we don't understand. But on some level of our being, They are perfectly planned, and they are a perfect choice for us to motivate us, to catapult us, to shift and change us genetically and physically into alignment with the rest of the um, universe. And I'm going to say universe because I don't believe that what we're seeing playing out here on our physical and emotional and human level is just there. It's a universal expansion and a universal shifting and a universal evolution. So, in alignment with that, many of us have illness or are getting illnesses, and I'm not one who's prone to illness. Um, and I don't do anything particular to avoid illness, believe me. My practices of daily living are probably not the healthiest for everybody, and the food gurus would certainly have a task with me. However, I don't do things that are, I try not to do things that are harmful. But nevertheless, on some level with this pneumonia thing, I made a choice, and I didn't realize it at the time. But in going through the process, I realized I made a choice, and I agreed with that choice. I made a choice on a higher level I had to be taken out of the picture. I had to be sat down. I had to be put on hold in order for what I'm thinking about right now is DNA changes to take place. And there was no other way that they could do that this could happen if I wasn't taken and sat down and taken completely out of control of my sort of physical abilities. So while the experience of pneumonia certainly is not pleasant, and it was very painful at times, it also taught me more about my body and its relationship to the planet. So there was an enlightening in the process of this pneumonia. And so there were gifts as well as downsides. And as you can hear, I still don't have my voice back. I'm doing fine. But I also had to take medicine that killed everything, all the bacteria in my body, healthy, negative bacteria. It's like I look at it as had to be cleaned out. So sometimes when we make these choices, we can't do them from this 3D level because we're afraid. We don't want to be sick. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to hurt. I don't want to go through this. So we'll fight this. But our higher self will come in and just say, no, this is what's going to happen. And I'm not going to say that there weren't times before this that could I have done something made choices to make this a little easier? And I say quite possibly there were, but I wasn't aware of them. For whatever reason, I was not aware of them. So a lot of our choices are made in a state of unawareness. And as a result of not making those choices, then our higher selves say, okay, we got to step in. We got to do this. I have to do this on some level, higher level of myself. I have to do this because I can't go any further until I make this alignment or this course recorrection, etc. So sometimes when we look at illness and so I didn't choose this, then if you really think about it, on some level, perhaps we did. And the lesson is, can I be more aware the next time to make a more conscious choice rather than an unconscious choice to step into my power or to step into this alignment that's necessary for my continuing the experience of being a spirit in a I like the term skin suit. I heard that or read that the other day, and I said, skin suit. This describes what our body, a skin suit. And so we need to lighten up a little bit and not take and look at our choices as being more important than we ever thought they would be, but also to lighten up and not beat ourselves over the head when we make these incorrect choices, always knowing that we can correct them.
Yeah,
We're not stuck. We're not stuck. We're constantly moving forward. We're moving forward with the universe. It's always in motion. It's always moving forward. It doesn't go backwards. It's always moving forward.
Yeah, energy and motion. And
yeah.
I think even our listeners, wherever you are, whether you follow a spiritual practice or whether, you're just trying to survive on day-to-day life with all the problems around you. I think with the becoming aware, the consciously aware, I know we keep on throwing this out, consciously aware, because that's where you're at. That's why you're listening to this show, possibly, because even though you don't think you are, there's something inside you saying there's more.
There's something more. Yes, there's something more.
Like in esoteric terms, they use the word the seeker. Well, we're all on a path of becoming aware. Even the man who's supposedly, homeless, they can make choices. Or if you're ill, you can make choices. Like an outside person, I can't fix Charlie. I wouldn't even try to fix him.
It doesn't need to be fixed. This is the reality. That's.
Oh, here we go again. We'll continue this.
There you go.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Well, we're back talking with Charlie about choices, and like I said, we can go on for this whole year. The whole thing that, like Charlie brought up, we're all being lifted up or energy raised, or there's DNA changes. There's vibrational changes in our body. And I think the whole thing with choices is for you to be aware of the power of the energy of whatever you choose to do. If you're ill and you're going to say, beaten, and you're listening to all kinds of information saying, well, you have to experience this, you have to experience this, and you only can get better by such and such. If something doesn't feel right to you, you could either go take the such and such, or maybe take the such, and another option is to take the such and such, but then to choose things to help rebuild the form. It gets complicated, doesn't it?
Well, we have choices. This is, and the key is we have choices no matter what we're experiencing. And that's the key. This is why it's we could go on for the rest of we're going to go. Let me put it this way: we're going to go on for the rest of our lives talking about choices, not particularly on this radio show, but in our own personal walk, because there's nothing we do that doesn't require the discernment of a choice to go one or the other, to flip flop. If you think of cells and atoms, and if you look at an atom, it's either on or it's off. Well, it's how you look at it that it decides whether it's on and off. So on some level, we're making a conscious choice to look at that being on or off, and it responds. And so choices are like that. They're like a switch. Thank you. I never thought about this, but they're like a switch. Choices are a switch that we either say go or stop, go or stop, go or stop. And we're continually doing this. And I know in our last show, my talk was about how many seconds there are in a day, how many choices we make is even that quantified, etc. But it's done so rapidly and without thought that a lot of what we experience is what I would call default setting, because it happens automatically. And so we're not, as we talked about earlier, consciously aware. But as we shift to change, to think about our choices and to realize that when we align the consciousness, the divine consciousness that we are, the creator consciousness that we are, with the action of on, off, yes, no, then everything begins to change because it's no longer on the default setting. Okay? And so if we look around the world today, we see millions of people operating at the default setting. And what happens is we also see governments and corporations and everybody programming to turn on or turn off. On, excuse me, on or off. What and in order and directing them by making the choices for them. And people are just responding unconsciously. They're getting angry. They're not getting angry. They're liking this. They're not liking this. Why? And we don't even know why. And I think you said in the pre-show was something about, choosing what restaurant to eat and saying, I've always eaten this place, but now I'm aware and I don't want to eat at this place, so I can make a different choice. And somebody else will say, huh? And not even realize that there really was a choice. We've always eaten there.
Mm. And I like the analogy or the symbolism of the on and off switch in the default, because it really is so true. And we come throwing the word consciously aware, because when something clicks in your head, it's that on and off switch, almost like an electric light bulb, the aha moment, click on and it goes, oh, let's look at this in the light, in the situation, or you shut off the switch and say, well, let me listen to everybody else and look at it, the whole situation in the dark like I used to do before. I mean, maybe that's simplifying it too much.
It is that simple. This is a thing that I've learned, Allayah, through my death experience, and I bring back to others, is that it is so simple We are the ones who have complicated it. Okay? And it wasn't our intention to complicate it. It's just that we got removed from the original intention of, to be here and to experience separation and yet know that we're still a unified body. And we've exaggerated everything through this default system of on and off and not and by giving our power away to others to control and to make those choices for us. And so part of this becoming aware of the power of your choices is taking back your power. It's taking back your personal power, your spiritual power, your divine power, and saying, as a creator, and saying, wait a minute, no. And no. And no is an answer. It's not good or bad. But we've been trained since infancy, no, is a bad thing.
Mm.
No, it's not. It's just, it's on, it's off. It's yes, it's no. And so what we have to think about is in terms of energy. What is our energy doing when we make these choices? And where are we sending it? Because if you open up the gates, like a microchip or whatever, and you send the energy in a certain direction, it's going to go do certain things, and certain things are going to come back to you as a result of that. And so it's not judgmental. It's just a natural law of energy to retrieve information, to go and to charge information, etc. So the last part of this sort of with the word choice, I think we got to harmonic overtones. And then it was inspiring conscious evolution. And, here we are talking about conscious evolution. So what is conscious evolution? It's basically, what it really is just we as powerful creator beings becoming more used to a larger field of consciousness than we have ever experienced before. And that's because the field of consciousness itself is expanding, is choosing to expand. And for us to continue to operate in that, we have to choose to move with it. And so you can see in your family and your friends, there are people that you love who are staying where they are, and they're not going to open their consciousness to new ideas, to things that we're talking about, etc. And they look at us as if we're just like we fell and hit our heads, and that's okay. We just shut up. Don't talk to me. My beloved Barbara is like that. She's not going to change, and the issue is you don't have to. But for those of you who are listening here, you have already chosen to expand your consciousness just by listening to this radio show, by being attracted to this. And so this is the law of attraction. You're going to be attracted to that which is going to empower you to be what you are to be in your future self. And it's all done through choices.
And I think that people need to realize this applies to every single being on this earth.
Absolutely.
This is not, because when you think, well, only certain people can do it. No, that's where you're thinking the isolated idea. Everybody will grow in their own perfect time. But, you might have a poor mother, a single mother raising children and, all survival instincts and, things horrible. And she goes, this doesn't apply to me. But it does, because I think what Charlie and I are trying to say, when something inside of you says, there's something else, there's something I want more, that switch is being flipped. And some light will come to the mind, or you'll feel a little bit more empowered, or something happens and you're able, well, maybe I'll make this little choice. I don't want to raise my children in this type of environment. I want something better for them. I want to be able to offer them love. Just even offering them love, you're affecting your children and how they will grow up. So,
and it's interesting that you say that, Allayah, because your children are going to have children, and some of those children are going to be you. And
that's
that's,
poor kids.
the cycle continues. This is not the first, and you and I both know, and we can, and I'm going to speak my truth. This is not the first time I have been here on planet Earth. And we incarnate and we reincarnate and we reincarnate and we come back through the DNA and through the loop, and because we're not finished experiencing what we're choosing to experience on another level of our beingness. And so these are things that society, religions, dogma, etc., have tried to keep us from becoming aware of. And they've rewritten history. They've rewritten and the law books that would allow people and encourage people to live a life as if they came back. The laws of karma, etc. To say it's important what we do here in this life. And what's happened is they've by not allowing people to honor the fact that they are this divine energy, this creator energy at their Atman level, that we are the source of creation.
And we keep on coming back, just like we will after this commercial.
We keep coming back. There you go. Watch out. We're coming back.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Come on down. You're the next listener of The Joe Show's second annual Salute to Game Shows, Price is Right Uncensored, a two-part series airing on Wednesday, March 9th and Wednesday, March the 16th. We will take you back all the way to September 4th, 1972, the first day Price is Right aired on CBS. The Joe Show speaks with longtime former producer Roger Dobkowitz, $1 Million Spectacular announcer Randy West, and longtime former Price is Right legendary host Bob Barker. So mark down Wednesday, March 9th and Wednesday, March 16th, 9 p.m. Eastern, OMTimes Radio on The Joe Show.
Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. the best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Well, we're back. And this hour goes so quickly.
It does. It does.
When I was thinking of during the commercial, I was thinking, Charlie, you and I one day have to talk about choices after an NDE. Because
oh my, yeah. We're
that's
still choosing. Come on, there we go.
I know, because that will be, a whole show in itself. But it's not that we're always trying to be really serious. When I was listening to the Joe show, I mean, when I was thinking choices, I've made some really pretty hysterical choices in my life. So, looking back at them, I can really kind of laugh at myself, like, why did I do that? Or why did I let that person get to me? Or why did I flip out in anger? And then when you calmly look at it, I go, well, I learned something from it. And then I decide, nope, I'm not going to go there again. So that's a beneficial choice. And it's all a learning.
There's a benefit to all our choices, and I'd like to add that there's a benefit to all our choices, and again, to lighten up the show, and for people to realize that to not be so self-critical. And a lot of our mistakes and a lot of our choices in error, everything teaches us something. What we do is we really truly get to experience ourselves. And that's what we're here for, is to experience ourselves in this third dimension. And so the issue is that when we can allow ourselves to find humor in the errors in choices, we release the energy that holds us back from making better choices the next time. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I love how we evolve in a show. I mean, neither you nor I had any clue we'd be talking about any of this.
Nope.
But what's interesting is how many times in our lives and in my life that I've made choices and certain things have happened, and I would not call them good things for myself or for anybody else. And yet I would always come to a place where I can make that choice again, and I become critical of making choices. And then it would go away, and then I'd forget, and then I'd make some other stupid choice. And I say stupid kindly, not demeaningly. It was a choice in error, and it was stupid and it was dumb, and I experienced what it brought to me. But I've learned now that it's okay to look at that and embrace that, and say this was the message. The message was, don't put your hand on the hot stove, or don't walk in front of the moving car. Hello. Did you get the message? These were messages to me that, Charlie, you're out of control. You're not making choices that are in alignment with who you are, but you're still making choices, and this is how you're going to retrain yourself, or you're not. And if you don't, then you're going to continue to create these situations through the choices. So the near death for me basically was the end run of a choice that I didn't want to be here anymore, and that I had no purpose being here anymore. So they said, okay, here you go. Here's your choice. We're going to manifest. You're going to manifest it. And I did manifest it. And that's an interesting that's the power of our ability to choose, is that for many of us who are stuck with energies that are at some point now, they're not even ours, they're ancestral energies, or they're energies that have come through our family's DNA, or their energies that are on the land that we live, etc. We're being affected by all of these. And what we need to do now is, this is why we need to make better choices, is to realize, is this my choice, or where is this choice coming from, and how can I choose differently?
Yeah, there's no, you're not. I think of all these talks, what we're trying to do, at least I think, is to have you recognize that you're never the victim, that there's
Yes.
something inside of you that, even though you're not aware of it, but if you sit back and just take the time to think or reflect on this, you're either reacting to an old pattern or reacting to somebody' opinion of you, and you're giving away your energy. And this doesn't come easy. I mean,
No.
we can talk about this and make it maybe sound simple,
But
but
we also have to personally walk through it. We have to actually, we're actually doing it. This is my pneumonia. This is exactly, I had to walk through this.
and that's why I said we use you as the example, because I was trying to figure out how would to describe Shirley and I. Well, maybe we're a little bit more consciously aware of who we are, but it's been a long struggle to get to this point. Don't think, somebody just put a wand, to
Yeah,
our head.
the magic wand, flip the switch, bingo. Yeah,
No,
you're all set.
I have had many a short circuit in the process here, and we can laugh at each other and at ourselves. But in experiencing all these things, and yet talking about the word choices, we feel that by putting ourselves out there too, you're saying, well, hey, if these two crazy people are going through this, I can relate to it. So, I'm okay. I'm like they are, you know.
Yeah, and that's the truth. We're not. There's no like superheroes here.
No.
Each of us are experiencing what we're here to experience, and we're creating that experience. And the mention of where there's no victims. We're shifting from a world view and a consciousness of from lack to abundance, and we're seeing that happen. We're seeing how the world has played, and its choices have contributed to everybody feeling that there's a sense of lack. We also begin to see how the collective world consciousness has ended up in a place where you're victim, or you're victim perpetrator. And so these are paradigms that have been created through the lack of many not making choices, and the power of a few collectively who took the energy of the few who weren't making the choices, adding it to their power to make choices.
Mm.
And so when you break it just down to energy, is that when you make a choice that is in alignment with your power, the power of who you are, the individual power source. You're an individual power source. You're not going to be me. I'm not going to be you. We're all unique. This is the amazing thing. We're all humans. We're all different colors, all different sizes, all different shapes. We're unique. Yet when you travel back our energy tube to source, we're one source. We're one love. We're one peace. We're one light. And we're all emanating from that. That's the power source. That's it. That's what we call God. That's what we worship. That's what we create religions around, etc. And they're beautiful when they're presented in that manner of oneness. But as you can see in the world today, what have we done? We've even separated the oneness. We've separated love into how many different kinds of love. We've separated light into how many different kinds of love. So part of making the choices brings us back to oneness within ourselves. And as we begin to recognize that, we see our true power. And what happens is happening is we start to collect in small groups, and the ego gets put on the shelf and says, you're a wonderful thing, but I'm much more than you are. You're limited. You're a limited experience. And we learn that we as divine beings are much more alive, much more amazing than the ego can even comprehend. And so the ego is a limited consciousness. It's a small little box, small little ball in our head, and it'll create all kinds of fantasies. But the truth exists beyond that. And part of it is coming down out of that ego consciousness in the mind and dropping into the heart, what's called heart consciousness.
Yeah. Oh.
This is where we truly live, is in the heart. And that heart consciousness extends throughout many dimensions.
Well, Charlie, I'm going to say, here we go again, the ending of another show. And I'd like to thank you for really coming on and points you, brought out. But for everybody out there, like Charlie said, push your personality and ego aside and open your heart. And that's the first step. So until next time with Charlie and I, we'll probably still be talking about choices. Thanks, Charlie.
I hope not. We gotta move on. Okay.